They had no uniforms, no backup, just courage and a radio behind enemy lines. This is the story of the forgotten phantoms of World War II. June 1944. The world holds its breath. All eyes are on the beaches of Normandy, where the largest amphibious invasion in history is underway. But far from the thunder of the main assault, another, quieter war is being fought in the shadows. A war of whispers, sabotage, and unimaginable bravery. This is the story of Operation Jedburgh, as Allied forces stormed the coast, deep within Nazi-occupied France, small. Three-man teams began to fall from the night sky. These weren't regular soldiers, they were a new breed of warrior, a clandestine brotherhood of British, American, and Free French operatives, handpicked for their linguistic skills, combat expertise, and unbreakable will. Their mission was audacious, bordering on suicidal: to arm and organize the local French resistance known as the Maquis, and turn the countryside into a hornet's nest for the German army. Each team was a carefully balanced unit: one British or American officer, a French officer to liaise with the locals, and a radio operator, their only lifeline to London. They carried little more than a pistol, a knife, a cyanide pill for the worst-case scenario, and a heavy suitcase radio. Their code names were often deliberately ordinary, drawn from a list of professions like locksmith, tailor, or chemist, a stark contrast to the extraordinary dangers they faced. Let's follow one such team, codenamed Citroën, as they descend into the darkness over the rugged terrain of southern France. On board the rattling Sterling bomber, Captain Miller, an American engineer before the war, checks his gear for the 10th time. Beside him, Lieutenant Dubois, a Parisian who escaped France in 1940, stares grimly into the void. Sergeant Davies, a quiet Welshman and a genius with a Morse key, clutches the radio that holds their lives in its delicate circuits. The green light flashes. The jump is a success, but their relief is short-lived. They are alone, hundreds of miles from any friendly army. Every shadow could hide a German patrol. A coded phrase exchanged in a dimly lit barn, a shared password whispered over a glass of rough wine. Trust had to be earned, and quickly. For weeks, Team Citroën lived on the edge. Guided by local farmers and woodsmen, they moved from one secret camp to another, always just one step ahead of the Gestapo. Sergeant Davies would spend hours hunched over his radio, tapping out coded messages, requesting airdrops of weapons and supplies. The nights would come alive as Allied planes roared overhead, dropping canisters filled with Sten guns, explosives, and medical kits. It was like Christmas in hell. Captain Miller and Lieutenant Dubois trained the eager but ill-equipped resistance fighters. They taught them how to handle explosives, how to set an ambush, how to turn a simple country road into a deadly trap. They weren't commanding an army. They were empowering a rebellion, together. They blew up railway lines, severing German supply routes. They ambushed convoys, diverting enemy troops who were desperately needed at the front in Normandy. They gathered intelligence, pinpointing enemy positions for Allied bombers. The Jeds, as they were called, became legends in the regions they operated. Ghosts who struck without warning and vanished into the landscape. But their success came at a terrible cost. Many teams were compromised. Captured Jeds faced brutal interrogation and summary execution, as they were considered spies, not soldiers. They operated without the protections of the Geneva Convention. Team Citroën had close calls. A surprise German raid on their camp forced a desperate retreat into the mountains. A planned rendezvous was betrayed, leading to a frantic firefight in a village square. They survived on raw courage and sheer luck. As the summer of 1944 wore on, the impact of the Jedburghs became undeniable. Across France, over 100 teams were at work, tying down thousands of German troops who could have been reinforcing the Normandy front. They armed over 100,000 resistance fighters, transforming a scattered insurgency into a coordinated and effective guerrilla force. They were the critical link, the catalyst that ignited the flames of liberation from within. When Allied armies finally broke out from Normandy and pushed south, the Jedburgh's mission was complete. They quietly slipped away, their job done, melting back into the Allied ranks as anonymously as they had arrived. Their story was locked away in classified files for decades. They sought no medals, no recognition. Their reward was a free France. These men were scholars, artists, engineers, and adventurers who answered an impossible call. They fought a war of shadows, so that others could one day live in the light. They proved that a few determined individuals, armed with little more than courage and a common purpose, could indeed change the course of history. If this hidden story of heroism moved you, show your support by hitting the like button, and subscribe for more stories of forgotten heroes who are waiting to be remembered. Thank you for watching.